Welcome to episode number 18 of That Rocks. Great to have you joining us today. And looks like we have a fourth host today, but we actually don't. It's our esteemed guest, and we're going to get to him in a second. But we are doing a little flip-flop this week and putting our guest in right at the top of the show, and then we'll end with our other nonsense after we let him go. But Jim Florentine, Don Jamieson, and of course, any metal fan in the world recognizes that man sitting right there, the one and only KK Downing. Good to see you, buddy.
Gentlemen, Jim, Don, Ed, great to see you. You all look great, and I'm really happy to be on the show.
Yeah, well, great to have you. And second album from KK's Priest is coming. It sounds unbelievable. Sinner Rides Again. When is the album actually out and available for everybody to get, Ken?
29th of this month, Ed, 29th. Yeah, but it's on pre-sale now and has been for a while. It's the way of the world with the pre-sales. But yeah, can't wait. It's just like this pregnancy, isn't it? You know, it's like, can't wait for the baby to be delivered. So, you know, but the days are going by, not too long now.
Yeah, and it's all about the pre-sale too, because that helps with the first day sales, where the album charts and all that stuff. Yeah. So everyone watching, definitely get it on a pre-sale. Get it now, and then it'll all count to that first day, which will be awesome for you.
Hey, KK, have you ever made a record? Now, this is certainly not one of those records, and you don't need to say this if you don't want to. But in all the many records that you've made, have you ever made a record where deep down inside you're like, I don't know if this is the right record we should be putting out, and like on the eve of a new record, you're a little nervous about how people are going to feel?
No, because no, I've never been in that situation. Quite the opposite, really. I think everything that I've ever done, you're always, if anything, you're afraid of being too optimistic, and because you really like what you've done so much, so. If it doesn't go according to plan, it just leads to disappointment. But I can't help being like really enthusiastic and really thinking that I'm kind of hopefully getting it right and onto a good thing, really, because at the end of the day, I'm a fan, but sometimes us as musos, we can get too close to things, I can think of girlfriends, or I could say the same. You think, this is so beautiful, but you're too close to it. Yeah. And afterwards you think, what was I thinking? What was the thinking? But no, I'm really, really happy with the record. I was really happy with the first record as well, Sons of the Sinner. I love that as well. And I think that these two albums could have been, back to back or a double album as far as I'm concerned. The second album's a little bit more edgy, I think, production-wise, a little bit more metalized, similar to what we did to Painkiller, from the previous records, but not too much, I think. That could, and we've been playing the songs from both records live on stage, and it's the same thing to me,
Yeah, I was thinking more in terms of like the catalog, like before Turbo came out, were you like a little nervous because, there's the synth guitars going on? Are the Priest fans going to like this? That sort of thing.
No. We could say the same about probably Nostradamus, because it was more like a classical metal mix, but if you like something, you're just enthusiastic about it and just want it to come out. And the fans, if it doesn't go according to plan exactly, well, you just have to accept the fact that you did a little bit of a U-turn musically. But the thing is, you never really regret that, Ed, because, like I say, we as musicians, we have to, we like to be as versatile as we can, and just draw some satisfaction about what we do. Like the Nostradamus album, I just love it, and I'm looking forward to playing some songs from it, to be honest. But some albums, they have to stand the test of time. Like Painkiller, when that came out, it wasn't successful. People people were going to go, KK, what are you talking about? It's one of the best metal, you know. I mean, as the years went by,
Yeah.
it just gained more accolades and it was more successful, but it wasn't really that successful as an album. And I thought then people think that we've done a bit of a U-turn, we've gone a little bit too extreme metal-wise, you know. And maybe we did. I mean, because there certainly wasn't a ballad on the album, was there? You know, it was pretty between the eyes. I mean, by comparison now, metal, you know, I mean, there's a lot more heavier, faster, hard-hitting stuff about now, you know, with the new metal that's come about since that album. But at the time, it was probably quite extreme, I suppose.
Yeah, it was. A lot of the fans did, but it was so welcome because that was what was happening at the time. You know, bands like Pantera were taking, you know, metal up a notch, and you guys were right there along with them. And I know, you know, you toured with a lot of those bands back then.
We did, and on the Painkiller tour, Megadeth, Testament, Annihilator, Pantera, we were taking all these bands out, and you know, and at the same time we were watching this video for the song The Painkiller, you know, which was kind of, you know, for a lot of people, I think probably a bit too much to swallow. I mean, because now when I look at that video now, in a lot of respects, it's still pretty much unsurpassed as a metal song and a metal video. You know, it's like it's like it fries your brain and what it does to your eyes. I mean, it should have had a warning sticker all over. Careful, you know, watch this video. You might never ever be able to focus ever again. You know. But I love it. I mean, I think
that's kind of what Priest needed at that time, though. I mean, everything was what was right at that time. Whether it was Nostradamus, this expansive, very cool concept double record, I thought that was cool at the time, or you know, whether it was Painkiller, really just putting that stake in the ground again, reminding everybody Priest are one of the forebearers of metal. I mean, I think that's all important. KK, what would you say would be the biggest differences between the first album and the coming new album for KK's Priests? I mean, from what I heard, like I agree with what you said, maybe a little bit of maybe even some of it a little bit in that Painkiller direction in terms of heaviness at certain times. But was there anything you were striving for on album number 2 versus 1?
Yes, absolutely. The exact story was when I was doing the first album, you know me, because I'm such a classic metal nut, you know what I mean? If I had to take albums to a desert island and that's all I had, it would be like, you know, early Scorpions, UFO, Saxon, you know, obviously Jimi Hendrix, you know, I mean, Deep Purple, a lot of classic metal is in my brain. So when I was doing the first album, you know, I was thinking, you know what, I don't care if people think some of these songs could be on like Stained Class, you know, or British Steel, or, you know, or any album, you know, I wasn't really thinking anything else. You know, I kind of like that kind of, you know, I was thinking not to have the production overly saturated guitars and, you know, arena drums and stuff like that. It was kind of a little bit kind of authentic, classic kind of, you know, sort of sound and production. I liked that. But on the second album, I thought, you know what? Here's what I think now. I'm just going to ratchet it up and do exactly what we did, you know, with the Painkiller edge, you know, and just metalize it a little bit more, you know, because I can do that because I've done it before, you know. So I have the credentials to do it. And kind of that's where I was kind of thinking with the second album in respect of how it sounds in the production. So now I've got the best of kind of both worlds, you know, depending what mood I'm in, you know. But in respect of all the songs, I think if the first album had the same production as the second album, it would sound the same, and vice versa. You know, So, but this is all about evolving and moving on, isn't it? That has to be those kind of subtle changes, I think. You know.
KK, I know that you did a bunch of shows over in Europe, and I see you're coming to the States for a Monster Rock Cruise that me, Don, and Eddie host every year. Are you going to do other shows in the States? I know a lot of fans here want to see you guys too.
Absolutely. It's down to obviously the promoters. If we could get, we have been offered a good slot on a big festival in Mexico on the 2nd of December. But we don't have anything to go around that yet. We would like to do, if we could do dates before that show and then come back into the States and do more shows, then fine. If not, we would like to go out before the Monsters of Rock tour and tour the States, do that tour in Florida, and then carry on in the States and Canada as well. So we're open to, we're out there now. We've been obviously at headlining festivals, which has been nice, really nice to do in Europe, and we've got a lot of offers for festivals for next year in Europe as well. Some really nice offers for some festivals, but we would love to come to the States and do some touring old-fashioned style, where you do like 6 or 7 weeks on the trot, and you're playing like 5 nights a week or maybe a bit more. That's what I would like to do. And take the show and take the band to the people, because it's so the done thing now, isn't it? People are meant to travel a long way now, and I have to do that. Even I have to get on the train and go and see Machine Head in Manchester because they're not playing Birmingham or Wolverhampton. I'm going, but that's okay, because England's not so big as America. But in America, I can imagine some people traveling interstate to see bands, because they're not actually playing in their state, let alone their city or town. Do you remember in the old days, we used to go around America and play for months and, playing what they used to call the majors, and then we would go, or we'd take a week's break, and then we'd go all the way again, and we would be playing Biloxi, Mississippi, and Little Rock, Arkansas, what they used to call the secondary markets. Yeah. So I don't know what's happened to that, because I thought that was a great idea. It was great for the bands. It's great
for people.
It's great to do LA and New York and Chicago and all of that, but it was also great to go to and play these really beautiful theaters and shows, and we did that with a lot of bands, including Iron Maiden, Whitesnake, and Def Leppard, Scorpions. We were all doing these secondary markets, and it was great, And I did meet a very nice girl from Abilene and Midland, Odessa. So you can have fun in the smaller towns as well as the big cities.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely. Hey, we haven't mentioned the singer of KK's Priest yet, and for people who don't know, it's former Judas Priest singer Tim Ripper Owens. In the time in between, Tim's spot in Priest and now, had you guys stayed in touch fairly regularly?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time Tim would come to the UK, I would go and see him. And AJ, my guitar player, we would always go and see him, whether it was with the Disciples of Dio or whether it was with Tim's own band that would come. The one fantastic gig that I saw, which not many people in the world have seen probably, was when Tim came over and did the whole of the Jugulator album from front to back. That was so awesome. I mean, Ripper's vocals, but like I say, I still say, as I said before, I think Tim's singing even better now than he ever has done in this band. I feel very blessed, very fortunate, and we all do, because we're on that stage and we're hearing him hitting these notes and these long notes. I mean, he did the longest note at the end of Victim of Changes, I think, in Belgium at Alcatraz Festival. The longest note you ever heard in your life, and it's out there on YouTube somewhere. It's out there. It's beautiful, really.
Hey, KK, are you playing with KK's Priest you're obviously now you have 2 studio records of material when you play live to pull from, and obviously you want to play some of the classic Priest stuff as well. So you're going to have to obviously create a balance there. But also, I'm curious with Ripper being in this band with you, are you doing any Priest stuff from either Jugulator or Demolition, the 2 studio records he made with Priest?
Yeah, we just did. We've only ever done 5 shows. We did a warm-up show here, which was fantastic at the Steel Mill. This holds about 2,500 people, maybe a little bit more. But then we just went and did festivals, and there were headline slots, which was great. Spain, Sweden, Belgium. And then we got a bonus gig. We heard the day before, can you please come to England and play Bloodstock Festival because Halloween have pulled out, who were second on the bill to Megadeth. So we filled that slot, which was pretty cool, because that was a good paying show. Thank you very much. It was great.
That's always nice.
That was really good. So we just drove overnight from Belgium, went and did that show. But they were all festivals. So guys, I'm sure that you can understand this, that when I was putting a set list together for those festivals, festival audience, you have to consider that it's a 3-day festival, maybe more, and everybody's there to see Saxon, Powerwolf, or Accept, or whatever, other bands. They're not there exclusively to see you. So I thought that I'll just put what I consider to be a good festival set list together. So it was a combination of, really. So yes, we did do a song from Jugulator, we did Burn in Hell, we did some classic songs that I wrote a million years ago, and also we did a load of stuff of KK Priest stuff. So it was a good cross section. But the exercise for me it was brilliant to see how it all gelled together, and it was just all came out, we all went in the pot and all came out like your favorite flavored milkshake. It was wonderful, and worked fantastically well. But obviously now we've got our own shows coming up. So to be honest, I could put stuff in there, from, I feel I could put stuff in there from rock and roll, or I could put stuff in there from Nostradamus. I think everything would go, you know what I mean? Stuff in there from, Demolition. I could do anything really, the set list, because people essentially are paying the ticket for the headlining band, which is us.
Yeah, and you got a guy who can sing across all the eras of Judas Priest and obviously the stuff you're doing now. So that works out perfectly. You really don't have any limits to what you can do.
He could do it in his sleep because, but me, I'd have to go out there and practice very hard, and, relearning those songs. But that's a big treat for me, really,
That's something, KK, that's something that I don't think fans really pick up on, that even as a guitar player who has created or co-created all these songs and all these guitar parts in the history of Priest, that there's stuff that's, even though you did it 30, 40 years ago, it's challenging to relearn it and to play it now. And where I first realized that? About last year, Metallica played a show in Florida to celebrate the release of their first 2 albums and their original label, Megaforce, which I used to work for. So Metallica asked me to host this show, which I did. And I went to go watch them do their rehearsals to play the songs from the first 2 records. And I was laughing because they kept coming over to me at the side of the stage, shaking out their hands. And Lars was like, oh my God, what was I crazy as a kid trying to remember? They were putting tapes on, remembering old parts. So I think for us as fans, we live these songs and records and been part of our life. And we just assume, oh, the musicians could just play those tomorrow, but it takes work, right?
It really, really does. I mean, some stuff comes back automatically, but some stuff you think, how the hell did I play that? And you think to yourself, and the thing is, when you do learn it and you start dissecting it these days, and you think, you start to have more of appreciation for it, really, because you think to yourself, how did I come up with that? You know, and some of it's really quite unusual, you know, and but luckily for me, a lot of stuff I did was solos were improvised. So now I just go out and improvise as well. You know, I mean, now if I go out there on stage, which I do, and play a couple of parts that solos that Glenn did, I just improvise them. You know, and I like that as well. You know, so I improvise my own, you know, stuff. But some of the set solos, they really catch you out. You think, did I really play that? You know, yeah, you do really have to dig deep sometimes to remember it, you know, and a lot of the chord stuff as well. And you're playing it, you think it sounds almost right, but I'm sure it's not quite how I did it, you know. And but you have to keep working at it. Yeah, you do. It's true.
KK, what album do you think really broke you guys in the United States? Was it British Steel? I mean, I think all three of us saw that tour with Iron Maiden open. Was it Scream for Vengeance?
Definitely Screaming for Vengeance was the one, really, where we really felt like, we're rock stars. We weren't rock stars yesterday, but today we are, you know, because the simple reason, because you just experience what just every day you walk down the street and you walk past a shop and somebody's playing one of your songs, or a car drives by, you know, and it's just like that scene from the movie, and you see people rocking out to, you know, to a thing coming or something like that, you know, and almost you can't get away from it, and it's weird because that's happened to me with other bands. Do you remember The Darkness when they had their big album?
Yeah.
Permission to Land, yeah.
And he's doing all this stuff like, you know, I couldn't go anywhere, you know, because on a day off you go out there to Walmart or something, or you go into a records, and on the televisions they're playing all the video. They're trying to sell televisions, but The Darkness are on there. That's it. You can't escape it. You know, I was really happy for them. But I actually experienced that with Judas Priest. You couldn't escape Judas Priest in America with that album. So we have to think to ourselves, fuck, I think we've made it, guys. You know, we're here at last.
That was the tour too, where the infamous Madison Square Garden thing, where this somehow the seats cushions got thrown on stage there.
Yeah, they did. Very memorable, much talked about. And I'm glad to see the images, the photographs on YouTube now. You can see some of them. They're out there on the internet, yeah. And happy days, happy times, good memories.
Hey, KK, I'm curious for you, starting this whole thing, KK's Priest, you know, even though you are universally known among metal fans for all the work that you've done, I've talked about this a lot. It's not, sure, you've got an advantage because there's a built-in audience of people who know who you are because of your history with Priest, but it's still tough, and it's still a challenge to get the word out that you're doing something new. So what has this experience been like for you now, about to release your second record? And, you know, for years, I mean, for decades, your life was one band, Judas Priest. Starting something new like this, what's been the biggest challenges and maybe some of the biggest surprising things about trying to get this going?
The thing is, everything was great because the album, the writing came together really, really fast. Everything was done. And then COVID came down and just chopped our legs off, really. So I had to hang on and hang on and hang on. So we hung on. And but eventually decided to release the album, probably knowing that we wouldn't be able to tour with it, you know, but we went ahead and did it anyway. And then the agent said, you can forget it, lads. You know, 2022, it's chock-a-block. People are away. All these gigs have got to be fulfilled. You know, they've been pre-booked, and so I was like, well, so I just shut myself away again in Christmas 2021, and did the same thing again. Really, just put another album together, and And my original plan was to release 2 albums in 1 year. That's what I wanted to do. And I was right on course for doing that, you know. And but then again, the COVID was still happening. So I'm thinking, take the pedal off the metal. And then what happened was this album was being finished ages ago and could have been released a lot earlier. But we decided to depart from Explorer One, who released the first record, and now we've signed with Napalm Records, which I'm really happy about. They're a great home for metal, as we know. So we have a new partnership there. And but even so, I'm still happy to release 2 albums in 2 years. But I remember way back in the 70s when we released Killer Machine and Stained Class, 2 albums in 1 year. And that's pretty unique. I don't know whether anybody's ever done that. I'm sure they probably have.
Oh, yeah. Back in the 70s, that was, I mean, Kiss put out 6 albums in 2 years or something like that. So, oh, yeah. Back in the 70s, it was kind of common every 6 months to put a record out.
Kudos to them. But latter days, everybody started to release 1 record every 3 years, 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that kind of happened to us a little bit. But it's not the way I like to do things. I just like to get on with it and keep moving, you know. So I'm really, really pleased. 2 albums in 2 years. I'll take it, you know. Wish it could have been quicker, but you know the schedules. But the main thing is now, uniquely, we've got 2 Virgin albums to go out there and tour in now and do a real good, you know, take the music to the people.
You guys got anything else, or it's late there in England? We should let them go.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I'm going to get back down.
This first that.
I'm going back down on the video set now because I've been an extra, you know, and doing stuff. It's a load of fun to do, you know, to actually participate, you know, and play the part, you know. I mean, the guy in Rick the Whirlwind, the video, that's me.
But you're making a video right now?
Yes.
For
Oh, okay.
Song?
So,
I've
What song?
been doing that all day long for him 66.
okay. So you're actually at a place where they're producing the video right now?
At his place. At the steel mill.
Oh, at the steel mill. Got you. Okay.
But the guys we just ordered food in and stuff like that. So I came up and had a chat with you guys. And so I'm just going to go back on the set and costume up and get going and do some stuff.
All right. Well, we'll let you go ahead and do that. It's always great to visit with you. Congrats on the record. It sounds phenomenal. I've had a chance to hear it, and it's killer. I'm still listening to it. I just got it, but we're just digging into it, and it just sounds so killer, man. It is, like you said, the word I would use for it is definitely metalized. It's great. Excellent, guys. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure speaking to you, and please say hi to all the fans in the States and tell them a big thank you for being so patient. But we are planning to come over. We're going to be there, but we'll see you definitely on the Monsters of Rock cruise. Yep. It's going to be great. Absolute loads of fun, but we're going to definitely try and get there before. Tell all the promoters we're ready to go.
Great, all man. Right,
thanks. Thanks. Good to see you.
Thanks, KK.
Yep.
Bye-bye. September
29th, The Sinner rides again. Get a pre-order right now. Get those sales up. I think this could be easily be in the top 5 metal records that day. I don't know if there's any other big records coming out that day, but I'm psyched for the guy, man. He seems real happy. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. If you liked it, here are a few more you might like. And if you want to support the show, consider hitting the join button and becoming a channel member to unlock exclusive bonus content.